Hi, everybody! Today is a super exciting day in Writer's Workshop because we are going to transition into the drafting phase of our narrative stories. Keep in mind, we're writing long and strong narrative stories, so we're going to have to take a lot of time today and show a lot of grit as we're starting our drafts. Before we do that, though, I want to do a little pre-work so that we're ready to draft the best stories we can. Up until this point, you've taken some time to come up with a few ideas based on real feelings that we're having about everything that's going on right now. You've probably also picked the story, okay, I like this feeling the most, or I can write the most about this feeling, so this is how I'm going to push with my story. Yesterday, we also started to do a little pre-work of thinking about, well, what's the setting going to be? My characters, what are they going to be like? And maybe we even started thinking about, well, what are some of what's that heart of the story I'm really going to try to get at with my characters? Today, we're going to start putting that to paper. Before you do that, though, I want you to ask yourself, do you have all of the writing materials that you need today? Take a second to think. If you're the type of writer that likes to write on paper, do you have enough writing paper with you right now? Do you have your favorite pen or pencil? If you're writing on your computer today and typing below this video, you need to ask yourself, is my computer charged? Do I have the information I need? Am I able to access the work I did in Google Classroom for the past 3 days in order to write today? Take a second right now, and I want you to pause the video. And when you pause, I want you to locate and find all your writing things that you're going to need today. Once you find it, press play. All right, welcome back. So at this point, you should have all of your writing materials and you're ready to go. The next question I want you to ask yourself is, I want you to look around where you're sitting right now. Is this going to be the best spot for writing today? Is this private for you, or does it seem like a spot that's going to be really distracting? If you think that you're in a spot after you look around that doesn't seem like a great writing spot today, we're really going to need you to think, well, where's the best writing spot in my home for me today? Maybe that spot's going to be in the kitchen. Maybe it's going to be at your desk, or maybe it's on your bed. Try to find a spot that you're going to do your best writing work. Once you find that spot, I want you to take all your writing things there and get ready. I'm going to pause here again, and I want you to press play once you're in your writing spot with all your writing materials. Okay, welcome back again. So now that we have all the materials, we're in our nice spot. The last thing I want to set you up for before we actually start our writing is I want you to, if you have access to one, grab a timer. Timer can be on your mom's phone. There's a timer on this computer that you can find if you just go into Google Timer and start it. I want you to get a timer today because I want you to ask yourself the question, how many minutes can I write today without stopping? It's really important that we're writing really strong narratives, but it's also really important that we're working on our stamina as writers. And in order to write the best that we can, we need to write for a long period of time. So I'm challenging you today, and I want you to start your timer after this video. Once you start, get started on writing your stories. Write them for as long as you possibly can. If you notice yourself stopping, look at your timer and pause it. Write down your time for us on this sheet today, and we're going to see who can write the strongest and who can write the longest. All right, so we're ready to get into our drafting. We're in our drafting spot, we have our materials, and hopefully we have a timer to see how long we can write for. A tip I want to give you today when you're drafting your narratives is that all narrative stories follow a story plot. This might look familiar to what we used earlier in the school year, but all narrative stories start with the beginning, and that always hooks in the reader. It gets them to want to read more. Then you have a rising action, things that are building on this problem that your character is dealing with, until you get to that climax, the most important part, where your character is really faced with the decision that they have to make. After your climax, you have a falling action, and you end it with a resolution or an ending. Now, writers, I want you to keep in mind, not all narrative stories have to have a problem and a solution. They all need to have some sort of conflict or issue that your character is facing, but they don't always necessarily need to be solved. Just like in real life, sometimes our problems aren't always solved. However, if you're not going to solve your character's problem, you need to make sure your story still ends in a way that makes sense for the reader, so that they feel like it resolved for their character. We'll focus more on that as the weeks go on. But as you're drafting today, we're going to start on the beginning, the hook. You don't have to start on writing your hook right away. A lot of writers really like to start at the climax and that heart of the story, but I'm the type of writer who likes to start at the beginning and work my way through the end. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and I want to show you, writers, how I actually began my story. So I'm going to write about an experience that I had at the grocery store. And, with everything going on, it's really hard to get groceries from the grocery store, so it's an issue that I had that was happening there. And I don't want to give away all the details yet, but I want to show you how I'm going to start this. I was trying to start my story in a way that would get my readers hooked, but then also I wanted my readers to kind of relate to what was happening, since we're all kind of stuck at home right now. So I'm going to read the beginning, and I want you to think, is this something that you can relate to? And is this something that you've been hooked into reading more of? Listen in. It had been 3 days of sitting in the house, watching the time tick away. Will it be like this forever? I thought to myself as I looked out the window. Okay, so writers, do you see how I really tried to make it seem like this was something we're all experiencing? It had been 3 days of sitting out in the house all by myself. This is the work you're going to do today. So when you're finished with this video, below in your document, I want you to start drafting. Keep everything you know in mind about drafting narrative stories. Strong writers always write long, they always write strong, and they always make sure to include punctuation every single time. They also, when they're really trying to work on expanding writing for a long period of time, add dialogue and characters talking to each other. So writers, you have a job to do today. Start your timers and let's see the best narrative drafts we can do. Get started.